Hi and welcome to Thousand Cents Online. My name is Ashley. Today is another Filmpreneur Series video. I'm home from work, having me a glass of wine, brainstorming, coming up with things that I want to share with you all. And something that I had already written down in my book to share with you all and just haven't done the video is the programs that I use to design with. Now, I know I have a previous video where I told you guys apps and websites that you could use to create your graphics if you're doing it trying to do it kind of professionally, or learn how to do it, or do it for your business, because you know how I always say, the more you can do for yourself instead of having to pay somebody else for your business, the better. But I know I did that, but this is a little bit different. These are programs that I use most often, and that the bulk of this list are programs that I will recommend for professionals to use, somebody who is a web or a graphic designer. So the first one I want to mention is Photoshop. I'm sure you've heard this before. It's like a household name. Photoshop is a paid program. It used to be where you could buy the program and you could use it for as long as you wanted to, just like, say, your operating system on your computer. Windows XP. You bought it, you use it for as long as you wanted to. Now they changed it some years ago where it is a subscription service. So basically like Hulu instead of like Windows XP. You pay for it monthly or however you decide to pay for it to be able to use the service, which I think was the most terrible thing that they could have done. Is kind of a money hungry type of thing to me, because Photoshop is a great program and tons of people were using it. For them, I mean, I'm sure it was a great idea because it means more money for them. But I still use my old Photoshop program, and Adobe is who creates Photoshop, by the way. I still use my old one and it works just as fine, and nobody is any wiser that I'm not using the Photoshop that is a paid subscription service. Another program that I use quite often is Adobe Illustrator. So that is also a paid program, same thing as what I said for Photoshop. So I want to elaborate a little bit more on the difference between these two programs. So Photoshop, I use Photoshop if I'm editing a picture or I'm creating something that is a specific size that I know will only be that size. So say if I have an image that is this big, in order for me to be able to see this image, the way that it's created is with a whole bunch of dots. So there's a certain amount of what they call pixels, which are the little dots per inch in this size of an image, right? Or any size image. You decide how many pixels per inch you want to see in whatever you create in Photoshop, right? So it's bound by that. So if I make the image this big, when I started off with the image this big, and I told them I only wanted these amount of pixels per inch, say it's 1,000 by 500 pixels, then when I go to here and I make the image 5,000 by 2,000 or something, I don't know, I'm just saying random numbers. When I make the picture that big, I still only have these amount of pixels per inch. So what happens is it gets distorted or blurred, and the quality just deteriorates. So the difference in Photoshop and Illustrator is where you create vectors, and vectors can be resized to whatever size you want, and it will never lose its quality. It will always look the same. You can make something this small and then you can blow it up and put it on a billboard, and it's going to look just as good as it did when you made it this size. So that's the difference between those two programs. And I wanted to share with you all as well that there are other programs that are open source programs, which means they are free to you. People came together and they wrote the code to create these programs for us to be able to use for free. You can donate to them, which is great because, I mean, instead of you paying a monthly subscription for Photoshop or Illustrator, you can use these programs for free and it never costs you anything. So it's nice to go ahead and donate to them for their time and their efforts. And they continuously, just like Photoshop, they come out with new ones. They continuously upgrade their programs as well, and they don't get paid for it. So it's good to donate to them, just to let you know that. But those programs like Inkscape, it is comparable to Illustrator. So the same thing I said about that program applies to this program. So another program is GIMP, which is open source as well, and it is comparable to Photoshop. So the same thing I said about that program applies to this program. So there are tons of tutorials online where you can learn how to use these programs, how to do specific things in these programs. So if these sound like something that you want to look into, feel free to do that. It should be, if you use Photoshop and Illustrator, it will be easy for you to be able to learn these programs because they are very similar. If you haven't used any of these programs, then like I say, there's plenty of tutorials and walkthroughs on how to use it, even if you've never even used the program before. So I would definitely look into doing that. I learned how to use Photoshop on my own from doing just that before I ever went to school for it or anything, because I couldn't find that major anywhere. I didn't know exactly what it was that I was looking for. I knew I loved to create things in Photoshop and to edit pictures and things like that. I love to create websites and all of that ever since I was in like middle school or high school. But and I'm talking about creating them from HTML. You know how you could do it when you had AOL back in the day and stuff like that. So yeah, I just started researching it online and I taught myself how to use Photoshop. By the time I went to school to learn more about it, I already knew the majority of the program. So you can definitely learn how to do it on your own. Some other web-based programs that are not ideal for if you're a professional. Don't use these if you are selling people things because you're a graphic designer or a web designer or something like that. Do not use these. But these apps are Canva, which I explained and showed you how to use in my previous video. So definitely check out that video to see how to use that. And then another website you can use is Poster My Wall. That is becoming very popular, and you can create flyers on there and things like that. But like I say, do not use these for professional purposes because you need to read the fine print. I'm seeing that Canva is saying that anything that you create on their program, they actually own on their app or, yeah, in their program that they actually own. So, yeah, things like that you have to be careful of. That's why it's best to use programs like Inkscape, Photoshop, Illustrator, and GIMP, where you know everything that you create is yours. You don't have to think about it, worry about it, anything like that. But anyway, you guys, I hope this was some useful information to you. And if it was, if you got anything out of this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe so I will know to create more content like this and I will know that you enjoyed it. But I thank you for tuning in. Once again, my name is Ashley. You've been watching Dollars and Cents Online, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.